Good morning. Recently, we received this picture that was drawn by a young artist named Charlotte, and Charlotte is the granddaughter of Dave and Pat Gibson. And so this is the story of Peter on the Sea of Galilee during the storm. Jesus approaches the boat. Peter and the disciples are scared to death. And Peter decides that he would like to join Jesus walking on water. And as we look at the picture, Charlotte did a great job. The waves are larger than the boat is. The clouds are dark and foreboding. The rain is coming down, the lightning is coming out of the clouds, and Jesus is there. And one of the things I like about the picture is how much bigger Jesus is than Peter. And I think that's a good reminder to all of us that Christ is bigger than we are. Now, if you look at this, Jesus is extending his hand in Peter's direction, but if you look closely, Peter is not seeing that because Peter's vision is downward. He is so focused on the big waves that are swamping the boat, he does not see Jesus inviting him into his company. And I think that happened to Peter, and I think it also happens to us. We are coming to the end of Lent already, and it doesn't feel like it. This Sunday is Palm Sunday, next week is Holy Week, and next Sunday is Easter Sunday, and to be honest with you, it doesn't feel like any of those things is near to us. And the reason is we have been distracted. We are concerned about other things. We are concerned about the world. We're concerned about ourselves. And so a lot of the things that Peter really needs to look at, we are also forgetting to look at because we have lost our focus and we are no longer keeping our eye on the prize. Lent has traditionally always been a time to kind of rehone our vision. The traditional disciplines of Lent, the fasting, the praying, the almsgiving, are all meant to lessen our own sense of self and increase the sense of Christ's presence in our midst. Very early in Lent, Jesus faces the temptations in the wilderness, and as the devil calls on Jesus to think about himself, Jesus always returns to the first commandment and allows God to be God. Jesus keeps his eye on the Father, just as we are called to keep our eyes on Jesus. And this is a lesson, I think, for Peter in the boat. I think it is also a lesson for us, because both literally and figuratively, we are in the midst of the storm, and we are all literally in the same boat. How do we keep our eye on the prize of Christ? Well, one way is to see that God is in everywhere and in every place, even when the storms are raging, and maybe especially when the storms are raging. I have come to believe over the years that God knows what he's doing. He has a plan for us. We are part of that plan. Trusting God means trusting his judgment. It also means trusting that we are part of that judgment in the very best sense of the word. And part of faith is keeping our eyes on him and not doing what Peter does, which is looking at the things which cause us to be afraid. In Charlotte's picture, Jesus is extending his hand towards Peter, even though Peter is not looking at Christ at all. And I think right now life feels very much like it did for Peter. It feels scary. It feels strange. But we had a lady who recently emailed our church, and she made the observation that right now we have more time for each other. We have more time to share meals, more time to talk to each other, more time to listen. We have more time to pray, to do our devotions, and maybe to consider more carefully than we often do the things which really matter and some of the things which don't. So easily and so often we allow ourselves to be distracted. But in this Lent, we have the opportunity to regroup and refocus. It is going to be a different Holy Week this year. It's going to be a different Easter. And I think that a true Easter is always going to be different. It's going to be calling us to a new way of thinking about ourselves and a new way of living our lives. A lot of my pastor friends are wondering, what does this mean for us? What are we to do in this situation? We're a little bit like Peter. We're in a situation that's bigger than we are. We don't have any experience with it. We don't know what to do with it, and we don't know what it calls us to be about. I suspect we're all in that together. And like Peter, we have to kind of trust God in the midst of it. The resurrection, of course, reminds us that at the end of the day belongs to God, and he knows what he's doing. He has a plan, and we are part of that plan. Part of trusting God is remembering that behind those clouds and those lightning bolts and that rain, the sun is indeed shining. Easter is God's time to shine in the realization that he is shining for us. The rain may fall, the waves may bang, the boat may in fact get filled with water, but the Lord Jesus is still reaching out to us. It's a matter of lifting up our eyes. God is in control, he knows what he's doing, and above all, he is worthy of our trust, even in the stormy times, and maybe especially in those times. May the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, calm the waves of our souls and give us a sense of his grace. Thanks be to God. Amen.